All right, so where is the second stimulus package at? I mean, Democrats and Republicans have been butting heads ever since March when the first stimulus package was passed on if there would be a second stimulus package and what that stimulus package would look like. And now that Biden is the president-elect, we have a little bit of developments in the works for this second stimulus package that I want to share with you today. Now, in this video, we're going to unpack the latest developments with the current stimulus package that is in the works and what this likely means for you individually. So let's dive right on in to it. So just for some context here, the Democrats have been pushing their HEROES Act, which is their current proposal that's been edited a number of times, but currently where it stands, it is very similar to the initial package that was passed. And Republicans, on the other hand, they are pushing their HEALS Act. Okay, so gotta appreciate the acronyms here. But we got the HEROES Act on the Democratic side, we've got the HEALS Act on the Republican side, and both of these guys are trying to get their packages passed. And the Republicans have also proposed a number of kind of skinny bills that are coming in a lot lower in cost than these other two guys, and we'll kind of break down what all of those are kind of looking like and where they currently stand. So the HEROES Act from the Democrats would be very similar, like I said, to the first round of stimulus that went out back in March and would come in at costing $2.2 trillion, which is just about the same that the initial stimulus cost. Now, Republicans, on the other hand, are looking to put something through that does not cost as much. Obviously, Republicans, they don't want to spend as much money on stimulus, so they are looking at lower cost packages. Now, their HEALS Act comes in at a hard cap of $1 trillion. Okay, so the HEALS Act is not going to go above $1 trillion. That is firm. They haven't changed that. They don't plan on changing that. And the skinny bills that they've been proposing have been coming in significantly under $1 trillion. So where are these Republican bills cutting back? Well, namely in unemployment enhancement, so that extra $600 a week that a lot of people were getting, they want to cut that back down to $300 on most of their proposals. Also, kombucha 19 safety measures, they want to reduce spending on those, and school funding. Those are kind of the three main areas where Republicans are looking to cut back. Democrats are looking to spend more. There have also been a number of skinny bills put forth, like I said, that have been focused primarily on a second round of funding for the PPP program for small businesses, as well as $300 per week in supplemental unemployment. Like I said, they want to cut that down to $300, but they want to enact it and make it retroactive for the weeks between when the last round of $600 a month ended and when this round would be starting. So people could potentially get that retroactive unemployment if they were unemployed between when that last one ended in July, I believe, and when this next one starts, whenever that might be, under the Republican plan. Now, these plans from the Republicans did not include another round of stimulus checks, nor did they include supplemental support for individual states. So if you're waiting for another $1,200 stimulus check, the current Republican plans, the HEALS Act and those skinny bills, they do not include that. Now, the Democrats in Congress have continued to just shut these things down left and right, and there's really been a complete standstill over the last 5-6 months. Now, they've edited their HEROES Act. The Democrats have edited the HEROES Act a couple of times, reducing the cost from $3 trillion down to $2.2 trillion, but there's still a total standstill. Republicans don't want to spend that much. Democrats don't want to drop off things like the $1,200 stimulus check. And so we've really just got kind of a standstill that's been going on here for quite some time. But now we've got Biden coming into office. So what does this mean for the bills and the future of our next stimulus package? Well, given Biden's previous history of cooperation with Republicans in the Senate, I think there's a pretty decent chance that something is going to get passed once he steps into office. But before that, I think there's a very low likelihood of the current Democratic bill, the HEROES Act, getting passed. I don't think Mitch McConnell is going to let the HEROES Act go through as it stands right now, or really any iteration of it that spends more than $1 trillion. I think the Republicans are very hard line on that $1 trillion cap. Democrats don't really want to come down that far because they're going to have to cut out a lot of things that are pretty important to them. And so I don't really think a large-scale stimulus is going to get passed before Joe Biden steps into office. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to see a second stimulus package in 2020, though. I think there's still a decent likelihood of something actually going through this year. Now, what would that look like? Well, I think it's very possible that a smaller stimulus package gets passed here in the last couple months of Trump's presidency. And then after Biden steps into office, then we see something more comprehensive. And personally, when it comes to what that smaller thing under Trump might look like, I don't think it's likely to include stimulus checks for all individuals like the initial stimulus package did. I don't think it's going to include that. I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't think it's highly probable. At the moment, the White House has currently removed itself from the conversation because Trump is currently very occupied with the lawsuits that he's filing with the results of the election, and they have delegated all of their power over to our good friend Mitch McConnell. Because previously, Nancy Pelosi and the White House were negotiating on the stimulus bills. Now the White House is like, yo, Mitch, you take over. And so now Nancy and Mitch are going at it. They are best friends. They don't get along very often, but They're trying their best to put something together here in terms of a next stimulus package. And I mean, I'm no expert on Congress, but I think this is kind of how the system's supposed to work. You know, Congress puts together the bill, sends them to the president to sign or veto, and so we're kind of just returning to that, because over the last like 5-6 months, it's been like Senate works with president to put a bill together, but now it's like Congress works together to put a bill together, sends it to the president who can sign it or veto it. And so real quick, just to touch on the allegations that Trump is putting forth, why he's occupied with these lawsuits right now. So he is suing for voter fraud in the election, as most of us know. He is not very pleased with the outcome as it stands thus far, and so he's suing in some of those key states that there was some voter fraud going on. Now, the odds that the cases that he's pursuing will actually result in the results becoming overturned, very, very low, okay? People inside the Trump administration who are remaining unnamed are even stating that like the odds that these cases result in Trump remaining president for 4 more years, very, very low. But what the actual effect of these lawsuits is having is kind of undermining the results and giving Senate Republicans a reason to kind of discount Joe Biden being the president-elect. So that's got Trump pretty occupied. So now we've got McConnell and Pelosi, and they are trying to come together. They're doing their best to put something together. And Mitch McConnell has even said that he does want to get something passed in 2020. And personally, I think that's because if he gets something passed in 2020, then he can kind of say, well, we handled this and we don't really have to worry about it anymore. So when Biden comes in, he's kind of got this, he can say we already did that and we don't have to worry about it. So I think that's where McConnell's kind of coming in at. But that does give me hope that we're able to put some kind of weaker stimulus package together in 2020, ship that out the door, and then once Biden comes in, we're able to actually get some kind of more comprehensive package similar to the initial one that went out in March together and get people their stimulus checks. Now, in terms of what this initial stimulus package in 2020 might look like, that McConnell might put through, he is very clear that he wants this to be a very targeted package. Okay, he wants the PPP to be very targeted, and he might even want to do stimulus checks, but those stimulus checks would have to be very targeted as well. It's not just going to be as broad as they were with the initial round that we saw in March. Now, in terms of how effective that might be, our good friend Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, he has stated that what we really need right now is broad stimulus to stimulate the entire economy, not just particular businesses, sectors, or certain individuals. Okay, he's saying we need broad stuff and we need it now. And they've been saying that for a long time. I mean, the Fed has been very clear that what they want is broad stimulus for the entire economy. And kind of, I mean, you got to feel for the Fed right now, because like they've kind of pulled out all the stops. I mean, interest rates are so low, they're doing what they can, and then the government is just kind of like butting heads for months on end, and they can't really get anything done. So got to feel for the Fed here, but Jerome Powell is very clear. He wants broad stimulus. Mitch McConnell is very clear. He wants very targeted stimulus. So odds are the heads are going to keep getting butted for at least the next couple months. Maybe we'll get something out later this month. I'll definitely keep you guys updated as new information rolls in about this next stimulus package, because it's always developing. So if you guys did enjoy this video and you enjoy learning about the stimulus packages, definitely feel free to smash that thumbs up and let me know down in the comments below what other information you're curious about learning in terms of the current political situation and economic situation. Now, the next thing you should do is click the subscribe button down here and check out this video over here, which I can't quite make out which one it is. I don't have my glasses on at the moment, but I'm sure you're going to enjoy it nonetheless. Have a wonderful rest of your day.